Greetings, pro wrestling fans, and thank you for joining us at the Pro Wrestling LookBack Podcast. I'm Nick, and I'm sitting here with...
Yo, what is going on?
We got Donovan on the old phone gimmick again.
If you didn't know, now you know.
Yeah. Should we tell him this isn't even real? Like you're here, but you're on the phone just in the house? Or should we keep
Don't
that...
break kayfabe.
Yeah, I don't want to, break the secret, but thanks for checking out the roundtable. This is episode 58. Am I right there, Don? 58?
That's right. Yeah. Almost up to 60.
I know, we're getting there. Sooner than later. But if you don't already, check us out on Instagram and Twitter at PW LookBack. Give us a follow, give us a like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you want to send us questions, do that on Instagram and Twitter at PW LookBack, or send us an email, prowrestlinglookback@gmail.com. If you don't already, hit up iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, and YouTube. Hit the 5 stars, hit subscribe, comment, leave us a good comment. We'd appreciate that. But like I always say, if it's not good too, hey, we want to know what you think of the show. So let us know. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at Salsa, SCELSA.
And mine is at just on 44.
And yeah, the most important one, like I said, at PW LookBack. Give that a follow. Stay up to date with all the Pro Wrestling LookBack news. And if you don't, check out our sponsor at Pure Oxide CBD Oils. This is premium CBD oil. They've got a website, pureoxide.com. They ship worldwide. No GMOs, no THC. Lab tested. 2 different bottles that you can get with different milligram dosages. 2,500 milligrams, 5,000 milligrams, as well as a 3,000 milligram cream. Check out the owner on Instagram at justin.brothers for more questions. They have hundreds of positive reviews. Check it out. I've been talking about it for weeks and weeks now, but it's good stuff. Joint pain, anxiety, overall energy, and well-being. So check them out at Pure Oxide CBD and pureoxide.com. But yeah, another phone call edition of the Roundtable with myself and Donovan. And yes, and I might add, it's going to be a little bit different too. We're going to have a different F1 update with myself and Phil kind of lumped into this show. I mean, you guys listening, it won't be any different for you. You'll hear it all at the same time, but we're recording a little bit early, and then the F1 update will be on a different day. But yeah, so in the meantime, myself and Donovan here talking, a little bit everything WWE. And I guess we should say we're recording this pre-AEW NXT show. So if anything big happened on that show, sorry that we're not covering it here on this one.
Yeah.
But big news, guys. Big news. I'm going to bust out the sound effects machine one more time, even though Donovan can't hear me for it. Donovan watched Monday Night Raw. And I got the applause is here. I wish I still had that celebration music that I had last year at the anniversary show, but that'll have to come back on the soundboard one of these days. But yeah, Donovan watched Monday Night Raw start to finish. I mean, don't get me wrong. We all know you keep up with the Monday Night Raw. You're pretty knowledgeable on the show, but what did you think? This wasn't the best week maybe to choose to sit and watch the entire show, but how was it, man?
Well, not that this was the sole reason, but actually, you know what? It probably had a lot to do with it, but maybe for our American listeners, it was a holiday over here in Canada, Thanksgiving.
That it
Monday.
was.
So we were all, chilling back most of the day, and typically I got some other work and other things I do in the evening, so sometimes I don't always catch, the beginning to end of Raw.
Yeah,
Might catch
Donovan's a busy guy,
Might not even catch it at all sometimes, right? Just the highlights.
Yeah, this is true. But like I said, you always stay up to date and you know what's going on. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I guess a part of the reason I tuned in was, I was just kind of hanging. I wanted to see what was going to continue on. I did catch majority of SmackDown as well on Friday night there. So I wanted to kind of follow up with the draft, see how, who ended up where, what would happen. I kind of figured for the most part I was going to get the old Seth and Brock deal going on.
Yeah, it was that was a little bit obvious, some of those picks.
I got to say I was a little surprised with the Charlotte, though. Charlotte ended up on Raw. I was a little surprised with that. I was kind of like, I don't know if I want her and Becky that close.
I just don't understand Charlotte lately. Has kind of been a little bit good, a little bit bad. I don't know how to feel about Charlotte. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about Charlotte.
Yeah. It's weird that I almost thought after Friday's events with her and Bayley that maybe she might kind of demand to be on SmackDown, wanting to,
get back at Bayley and maybe
get back at her. And
But then at that point, are you're making her a babyface at that point?
Yeah.
Like she has to be. She can't attack Becky, to open Raw for the match for deciding who gets first overall pick for the night. Even though we all know it's going to be Monday Night Raw because of the format of the draft, but some of those matches that they did to open the show this week, I wasn't a huge fan of. I got to be honest, but I loved Becky Lynch going number 1 overall. I was happy with that, but I wasn't expecting her to stay on Monday Night Raw, but a lot of that was based on, Hell in a Cell and her losing the championship coming out of Hell in a Cell. So the fact that she kept that Raw championship, I wasn't that surprised, but I mean, it shows how much she matters for her to still be going, number 1 in the draft.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. I like that. I think that's a good move, too. It keeps her, it shows the value of her and, you know what I mean, keeps it strong, keeps her looking strong and everything, too. Having her be the first overall pick is a pretty fucking big deal,
Yeah, so back to the beginning of the draft a little bit, too. So you said you watched SmackDown as well, or how much of the show did you catch?
Yeah, so I didn't watch SmackDown as it was happening live, but I kind of got home later that night, and I followed up just watching it from start. I kind of skipped through some of the filler matches that I just didn't really. I was more there for the draft and maybe anything else exciting that might have taken place.
You didn't get to see Roman and Seth, and Seth getting.
No, hey. No, I watched that beginning 10. I definitely watched. I was intrigued. I'm not gonna lie. Like I might not be the biggest fan of like the current Seth Rollins character or even Roman. Like I'm not the biggest Roman Reigns fan at all. But the fact that these guys were fighting for that pick and it was the opener and it was them. I'm like, oh, I'll watch this. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I wrote it in my notes because I couldn't believe it when Seth was getting attacked by the Fiend and Michael Cole. He's getting dragged to hell. I was just I couldn't get over that comment, but so he's Cain now, or he's like I like when they distinguish the difference between what the Fiend is but now it feels like he's just Cain and the Undertaker. I don't know.
Kind of melded into one, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. That match was good with Roman and Seth, and I really liked the I guess you could call it like the reversal from the spear into the pedigree.
Yeah, that was different, yeah.
That was a cool spot. I don't know if I've seen them use that maybe when Seth was a heel Roman babyface. I don't know how much they interacted at that point either, but probably quite a bit. But you know what I mean? I enjoyed that little move. But another thing from SmackDown, I guess to stick with the SmackDown talk, was I liked the little Fox shoutouts, all the anchors and all the people from the different walks of, NHL Fox and racing or whatever, all the different, you know what I'm talking about? All the
no, definitely, like the stuff in between, and they were kind of trickling it in on Raw too, right?
Yeah, I mean, some of it was it was a little stupid in the sense that they were talking about, they were acting as if they were watching along, and it's like we all know you're not in the studio right now watching along Monday Night Raw as this is happening. Which I it was kind of, you had to think about that a little bit, but I enjoyed. To me, it's just mainstream. I enjoy anything that brings wrestling into the mainstream a little bit, and this is just something to me that helps it feel more mainstream when you have guys like, I think it was, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, who are like the main Fox NFL reporter announcer guys, just like I was talking to you last week with Shane about Aaron Andrews. It seems more mainstream, and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But
one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. One thing I wanted to say on, I don't know if it's a negative, positive. The whole thing they were doing in between them picking guys with the people from USA and the people from Fox and kind of in the boardroom.
Yeah. Oh, that stuff. So that was separate from what I'm talking about.
Yeah. No. At first, I was kind of like, oh, this is cool. But then, like, after I was taking it back, like I was looking at it, like kind of as the night would go on and
logically
on SmackDown I'm talking about, and then I was looking at on Raw, like I swear they just used the same exact footage. Like that wasn't new reaction.
Well,
that's the same.
I felt the reaction. I didn't even think about the actual reaction because I didn't think. Shout out to your boy Don Tony. I was listening to his show and they were talking about the fact that they didn't change the clothes and how all the people that were in that boardroom were wearing the same clothes on Friday that they were wearing on Monday. So it was.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
It was definitely one big pre-recorded thing. I liked that they did it. Hey, I was the one talking about it. Maybe they got the idea from us. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. that, it should be Fox against USA, and they should really play off that and what's it going to be in the boardroom, and who knows if that's actually what went down as far as, selecting wrestlers for each side. I'm sure at least part of that was a factor when they were making this. If this is a hard brand split and we're going to stick to these Raw and SmackDown. I don't know how much they thought about it, but what was I talking about? Jeez. I don't know.
Just the difference in I guess not the difference.
No, the overreaction. That's what I was going to get at. From those people in the quote unquote fake boardrooms, it was just overacting. Like I'm doing it early this week, but I'm bringing up my boy Wade there, Don. Talking about the fact that I can't even remember now. Never mind.
Well, you know what? What I got to say, like a negative and a positive of it, is that, like, take the good with the bad. I guess, like, I like that they did it, but then, if I'm nitpicking or looking at it a little deeper, like, I definitely did notice that right away on Monday. I was like, oh, I swear this is the exact same footage that I've seen on Friday, and that was kind of weird and a little hokey. But you know what? Hey, it's it's a step in the right direction. At least they did something with them, right?
Absolutely. No, like I said, I would rather them show us that. It definitely made more sense to show it to us, but it's the overacting and the overreaction from some of them was a little bit too much. I can't remember what I was going to say, and it's bugging me a lot now, but it's no big deal. We can move right on. It wasn't a big deal. The only other thing, we might as well, since we're kind of making this a little bit of SmackDown talk, the Bayley heel turn, the new music, the axe or whatever she had, and the haircut and the beating Charlotte.
Yeah. So
what were your thoughts on the whole thing?
Funny story about that is that, okay, so I wasn't hugely invested in the match. Like, I kind of figured, I don't know. I honestly thought that it was just going to be Charlotte kind of winning, and I don't know. So I didn't watch it. I kind of fast forwarded a bit through it, and I noticed a different look of her.
Oh, you didn't see her chop down the Bayley buddies?
After I had to see that after, but no, not at first. I kind of skipped past it, and I noticed. So I'm skipping through it. I'm like, oh, her hair. That's different. And then when I seen that she won, and I heard, it was honestly the music that I heard. I was like, what the? I was like, whoa. And then I rewinded it. I watched the finish, and then I figured out what was going on. And I was like, oh, it was good because we literally just talked about the weird gray area that she was kind of in.
No, totally, because she was half like she was doing heelish things, but still acting like a babyface when she came out to the ring. So it was, she was kind of in a limbo area. I'm happy that they pulled the trigger and went forward with it, but I'm shocked, like we talked about kind of at the beginning, about the fact that Charlotte's now on Raw, and that we don't get to see any kind of conclusion to that. It's just kind of that was used as we're going to turn Bayley.
Yeah, it's so. This, like, I don't know, man. I think I've said it a few times in the past. Is the women's stuff? It gets weird and tricky when I don't know if I like Charlotte and Becky on the same show.
I mean, just because they've spent so much time together.
Yeah, and it's like you think about someone like, well, like Becky. She'll have things to do. She's the champion. She has people that she can face that she hasn't faced yet, or there's fresh matchups still out there for. When it comes to Charlotte and the way that they kind of deal with some of the other side of things, I feel like they don't do much past the titles. So it's like you wonder then what happens to someone like her. Does she, ultimately we think of her and Becky again, or she's not going to go out there and find a tag partner. I don't think anytime soon.
No, and I don't think they think about it too much. But it's her losing the belt. I don't think they think about it too much going into it. But like, to have her 10th championship reign be, 3 night or whatever it was, couple nights, I don't like that kind of shit. Like, that's her 10th championship reign, and she's finally won, finally, I guess it's the most at this point, but either way, it's a big deal. She's won 10 championship titles in WWE, but no, that 10th one only lasted 3 days, which I don't think they thought about that at all. Because I think they thought, a bigger picture, we got to turn Bayley, and how are we going to turn Bayley? Oh, well, we're going to get the title off of her, and then we'll put it back on her, and she can, you know what I mean? I don't.
Yeah. it goes back to John Cena becoming the 16-time champ when he did it. Like, it was such a for such a monumental reign in his his title history, his records, and to only have it like a month. To
drop it quickly at
which I get
Elimination
longer
Chamber
than Charlotte's, but still, like, you're right. I don't think they think too much about those things. Unless, I don't know. Maybe we're speaking early. Maybe there's a trade. Maybe something goes down where we get to settle the score,
Well, that's what I was going to say. Perfect little segue there, Don, because we did get one trade so far in WWE, and it's happened, the night that we're recording this at least. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross are making their way over to SmackDown from Monday Night Raw.
Woo.
I thought it was a little weird that they got drafted separately to begin with. To be completely honest, I kind of figured they of all people, maybe even more so than Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler, are a tag team. Not to say that Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode got drafted individually either, but I don't know. I was shocked by that one. Do you want to go into?
Did they get traded for someone? Do we know, or is it just?
Well, no, not as of Tuesday, October 15th at 9:47 p.m. is when we're recording this, and no, they did not. But this show is not going to be released until probably Friday of this week. So, with that being said, if somebody else did get traded, which I would imagine they'll probably, fix that up, if not do more trades from now until that point. Get back to us then.
Not to completely blow past the question, because I feel like I kind of dove right into things there, but as far as me seeing Raw and what I thought overall of it, not the greatest, but I don't know if I had a high expectation. There was two things that kept me, three things I'll say that kept me wanting to watch. I was curious to see some of the draft stuff, obviously. When they mentioned about the contract signing with Fury and Strowman, I was kind of interested in that. And then when they announced Bray doing the Funhouse, I was intrigued by that. And of course, they saved that till the last
4 minutes of the show.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't have a high expectation either, so I feel like I wasn't really let down by it at the same time,
That's fair. I mean, with the Funhouse stuff, I kind of just take it as gravy at this point, and it's just extra goodies. Like, I definitely wasn't watching that show with the intent of, okay, I need to see the Funhouse at the end. Like, I kind of forgot for a half minute, and I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, okay, we got Natalya and Lacey Evans here in a tag team match against the Kabuki Warriors, and this is a decent little match, but to be main eventing Monday Night Raw, the night of the draft, I thought that was a little bit weird, but then I forgot about the whole Firefly Funhouse segment happening after.
Funny you mentioned that, man, because honestly, looking back, no pun intended, but looking back at the show, like I kind of enjoyed that match. I was sitting there watching it, and I was like, this is kind of seems like a decent amount of time. That women's tag match, and I'm not even big on
almost
that team, the champs, the Kabuki girl, right?
No, I'm not big on that. But what about the whole Lacey Evans becoming Natalya's partner there after they've feuded for 5 weeks? Is that just another Sheamus Cesaro kind of? I don't mean actually like them. I just mean, is it another one of those they're going to feud for a bit and then they're going to end up becoming a team?
I thought it was weird as fuck when Natalya came and she said, "I got a partner." I immediately thought we're getting a new girl, or I thought, okay, maybe we're getting Liv Morgan. She's the new draftee, right? She's the last one who got. So I was like, maybe it's her. Maybe this is how they introduce her. And then it was, and I'm like, oh, that's fucking
not exciting at all.
Yeah, exactly, not exciting. Didn't they hate each other?
I thought it was going to be like Beth Phoenix or something weird like that, or some, Mickey James or somebody from yesteryear that isn't quite around as often as they used to be. But some of the show, I know I said at the beginning it wasn't maybe the best, but some of the wrestling that took place on the show was really good. The Cedric Alexander and Buddy Murphy, or was that on? Yeah, that was on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
That was a really good match. And then we talked about Becky and Charlotte opening the show. Another really good wrestling match on the show. I had to talk about, because we're kind of bouncing back and forth between Raw and the draft and everything. So I got 2 out of 3 of my favorite wrestlers all came to Monday Night Raw, and I was pretty excited about that because on SmackDown they announced that Randy Orton's coming to Monday Night Raw.
Oh yes, yeah, that's true.
So I
forgot about that one.
Between Randy Orton, Becky Lynch, and Shinsuke, I mean, I got 2 out of the 3 on my favorite show, and I got to be honest, that was the moment that I think.
Shinsuke's on SmackDown.
Yeah, so I got Randy and Becky on my favorite show, but my third favorite, I still waiting on that Becky Lynch pop vinyl though. You know that.
Well, fuck. You got somebody else, man. You got.
What did I get?
Who was I thinking?
Monday Night Raw.
I
got the list here in front of me, but I mean,
it was probably more of a sarcastic one than I'm thinking of, honestly.
I see. Well, I got Samoa Joe.
No, it wasn't. No, I wasn't. I feel like you're a bit of a Drew McIntyre fan. He was picked high in the draft.
I am a bit of a Drew McIntyre fan, but it's let's hope that this time around, for the 10th whatever time it is, he actually does get some sort of, and it doesn't have to be like win the championship or bust. It's like, why don't we have him just win matches low key, at 8:59 every week, like not specifically, but I just mean in the middle of the show every week, Drew McIntyre is winning matches consistently, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, Drew McIntyre's built up a 20-0 record in the last, you know what I mean? Like, not that they focus on records heavily, but yeah, that's a whole separate conversation as far as Drew McIntyre. But no, I just wanted to bring up those three kind of my three favorites that, two ended up on Raw and one on SmackDown. But some of the other big stuff, OC on Raw, I don't understand why three guys got chosen at once in one pick, and then, like I said, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross get chosen individually. The draft was very weird, the way that they had it set up in the rounds with 5 picks per round on the show. I didn't like any of that. How about you?
Yeah, a little. It was definitely strange the way they did some of the people together and separate and whatnot. I mean, in all fairness, I guess I get why you would draft the club together.
Of course. And it's not that I don't.
And I get why you would draft the New Day together as well. But it is a little. It was weird because wasn't it the same round where Alexa and Nikki got kind of picked? Wasn't it in the same round?
Well, no, I'm looking here. Yeah, actually, you might be right. I don't know if it has the right order of rounds here, but either way, it was the same. Yeah, it might have been the next. No, it was the next round. It was the next round because Alexa Bliss was in pick 7 round. This is so confusing. Round 2 or round 3. I don't know. It's what I said to you on the phone today when we were kind of planning what we were going to do tonight for the show. And I said they should have just drafted more people at a time. Announce maybe your top 10. Stephanie can go out and announce the top 10 maybe for each show. But then after that, put up a list of 20 to 30, however many it is, wrestlers on the screen, and then Michael Cole can read them all out, and we can assess it over the rest of the night. This showing 5 wrestlers at a time, and Raw gets 3 picks for every SmackDown's 2 picks, which I get because of the 2 hour or the extra hour on TV. That part makes sense. It's just you end up at the end of the show with SmackDown picking a total of 8 to 10 wrestlers, and it's like, well, what the fuck did we accomplish? And then the night's over, and there's people that haven't been picked. Like, not that he's a top guy, but Apollo Crews hasn't been picked for the first night. And I don't know, there's just a lot of people in the free agent category to me that it's just like, how does AOP go unpicked? How does Cesaro go unpicked? How does Ember Moon, if we're supposed to take these people seriously, how do they go unpicked? I don't get it.
Yeah, it's a really weird, it was a weird system. I'll say that for sure. And to branch off of that, honestly, like I was telling you a bit earlier, is with the women's tag stuff. Like, I think that's kind of really strange.
Yeah. Go into that.
Well, you got, they mentioned it a few times throughout the tag match on Raw, where they said, so the Kabuki Warriors are drafted to Raw, but they can go on either show and defend their titles. But it's not like you got 10 fucking women's tag teams. Most of them are makeshift anyway.
Yeah.
So, for example, you got Natalya and Lacey, who just fought, and Lacey's now on SmackDown. So does that mean that they are fighting, since Natalya's on Raw, she's on SmackDown? Do they get to unite and fight for these tag belts on whatever show they want? You know what I mean? Like, it's just
because it's one's on each show.
Yeah, because if that's the case, then I don't know. Why not have the I guess all women be allowed to go wherever, which I'm not saying that's the way I would have went with it either. I almost think now, just thinking about it and talking to you, a good way to go about it might have been to, again, they don't have the teams for it, but to put the women's tag division on one show, and that, hey, this is exclusive here. You can only get it here. This is where you get it.
Maybe the tag division, because they could still have women on both shows.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think you could do that and have one show without the women at all. And
yeah,
nor would I want that, but I know that's not what you were saying, but.
No, yeah, I'm saying specifically women's tag division exclusively to SmackDown, right? So you can only see the women's tag titles here on Friday Night SmackDown. And then, I don't know, maybe
Cruiserweights.
Truth got drafted to Raw, I think?
Yeah, yeah.
So, I don't know. Hey, maybe, hey, over here you get the 24/7 title. You only get that on Raw. To kind of,
No, that would make that. I was going to say Cruiserweight, but I think maybe the Cruiserweight's in NXT a little bit right now too, right? I think they're trying to figure out what they want to do with the Cruiserweight title, if I'm completely honest. Because Leo Rush, I know he wasn't in either of the draft pools, or at least that's what it says here. But and you're talking about women's tag team. I just had to get this in too. You're talking about how there's no women's, established tag teams. The best one that they had, they did absolutely nothing with, and it had the least amount of title, defenses that we've gotten with those women's tag belts, which being, Peyton Royce and Billie Kay, the Iconics. Who's, not to say that they're the best wrestlers in the company by any means, or the best women. I just mean they were the most established actual women's tag team. And they had a long run, but they probably have the least memorable women's tag team run out of, the teams that have held those belts. Not that there's a long list.
Yeah, it just seems like I don't know, I've said this a lot, like over the months and time of this women's tag division, is that I just don't really, all the teams seem so makeshift to me that I don't feel like I care enough, you know what I mean, about them. I can say, and it's still very early, but the fact of Asuka and Kairi being a team, I do like them, and I think that they kind of got something here. But I don't know. It's like the pirate thing. Is it there? Is it not? Like that.
You said they kind of cut that out a little bit this week.
Well, they did the last week, but then this week it was back in full effect. So I don't know. You know what I mean?
I'm obviously not paying enough attention to the finer details of the gimmick, but yeah. Was there anybody else real? Because I got the list in front of me here, but I mean, I feel like we're not the type of show that really needs to go through. The minutia of every person that was switched over. Sasha Banks, some of the bigger names going over to SmackDown, Braun Strowman going over to SmackDown, but showing up on Raw. The first. Are we giving them a pass, Don, because it's the first week of the draft?
I think so, and that's what I thought. I guess we'll see how it goes. But I was kind of looking at it like, these two shows were a pass, I guess, because they were still, getting it all together.
Yeah,
it is weird though. I mean, you could have ultimately built that contract signing for Friday.
Absolutely.
But,
what about back to Raw a little bit? I know we're jumping all over the place, guys, but I figured this is how the phone call episodes usually work. We're kind of just diving into everything, and it's been a busy week, even though it's only, the beginning of the week. Viking Raiders win the tag team titles. Were you into that match?
Well, I'm not into them so much.
Same here.
So I can't say. I like the fact of them, speaking of makeshift, I like them getting the belts over Rude and Ziggler, because I'm not a fan of Rude and Ziggler as much as a team, because they just feel very makeshift to me.
Yeah.
And I think the difference too with the men and the women is that between Raw and SmackDown, like I said this last week too, you got a lot of tag teams, whether some they're using, some they're not. You do got a lot of tag teams right now. And
in general,
I like the fact that these guys are a legit team.
I couldn't get over the crowd the crowd reaction from the I think it was Anaheim. Is that where they were? I'm not 100% sure. It might have been SmackDown.
I would take that with a very very lightly too. Like I don't think it necessarily means much. Not to discredit or credit them like a lot, but I think it's just sometimes people are excited when they get to see a title change. They witnessed a title change. They're excited. I don't think it matters. That's
a fair point. I didn't really think about that, because that was one thing. Because I mean, I gotta be honest. I had my hand in my phone for a lot of this match. At least I'm with you. I'm just not a big fan of them, so I wasn't too interested in the result. But when I seen the result and I seen the finish, And I seen the crowd reaction that they got. I was amazed. I was going, holy shit, these guys maybe are, because to me it felt like they were, like, obviously they weren't connecting with me and you and people like us, but
Yeah.
I felt like they weren't connecting even in general with, the even lesser fan, some of the more casual fans that watch WWE. So obviously they were under our noses, but I don't know. We'll see what they do with those belts, because I think everybody anticipated that they were going to get them at some point. It's just a matter of, are they going to, be memorable champions? Excuse me.
I think you're right. I don't think people are invested in them. Like, I think that like I said, I think a lot of it had to do with the people just, they want to chant.
Yay, title change.
And I think, like, even not to go too off of this, but like even Seth Rollins, when everybody yells "burn it down," I don't think it's because everybody likes Seth Rollins. I think it's because people want to just interact and be a part of the show.
Like when the Braun.
Yeah.
Same idea.
You know what? A little different, I think. I don't know. I'm not.
More people like Braun. Yeah.
Because I like Braun, but like I think people like Braun.
That's a fair point.
I feel like with the there was times that we've seen Seth Rollins get booed and people still chant "burn it down" when he stomps his leg or when he enters the ring, just because they want to be a part of that. But they'll still kind of boo him throughout the match, or
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, fair enough. How about this week? Because there was something else I was going to get to, but you perfect segue there. What about the burning it down? You should see what I have on my notes. I wish you were in the studio, because I drew some flames. I always use. This is a little insider for the listeners. So whenever I do my Monday Night Raw notes, because I would use a little notepad, a little tiny little sheet here, and I'll do my SmackDown ones, and I use a blue highlighter to highlight the SmackDown, and then I end up using an orange highlighter, because there's no obviously red highlighter. So I always use orange, and I was doing the highlights for Monday Night Raw. And then I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to burn it down. I'm going to draw some flames all over the bottom of my page here, right? Because it was perfect. I was highlighting the segment where Seth showed up at the Firefly Funhouse. Jeez, I have such a tough time saying that every week. I don't know why. But Seth showed up there and burnt it down. So I figured I'd draw some flames on my paper. But what did you think? This was pretty freaking crazy. I liked Bray acting completely like he doesn't know what's going on between Seth and the Fiend.
Yeah.
Like it's totally separate from him. He's like, what are you doing here? Why are you know what I mean? Like he knows what's going on, but he doesn't understand why Seth would be attacking him and not attacking the Fiend. He doesn't understand that the Fiend's a separate person, or he thinks that the Fiend is a separate person. Sorry.
Yeah. I like that side of it. I guess, you know what, he said it, and I figured that he was literally going to burn. Like, he said it earlier, I'm going to burn it down. And I figured, I'm like, oh, God, this motherfucker's going to come in and literally set it on fire.
I kind of had a feeling, too. I'm not even kidding. I had a little bit of that same hunch, but then I think I had forgot about it mid-show, and by the time we got to the end, I'm like, oh, shit, he's here to burn it down. No, okay, fair enough. The crowd was booing, though. I don't know how much the crowd was into it.
Jay, no, that's what I mean. I'm confused as fuck with this guy. Like, what do you... I said it to you earlier in the day, is that now we got these two fighting again at Crown Jewel, Falls Count Anywhere.
Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah, Raw and SmackDown. Do we really think that Bray or the Fiend, he has a chance of winning that belt, and then what happens? That does he?
I mean, maybe, just maybe, if he actually were on Monday Night Raw. And maybe is, maybe when by the time this episode is released, he is the one that's on Monday Night Raw, and he's traded over by then, and it actually makes sense, that he's fighting for the championship that's on Monday Night Raw. Because how does that work? And do we really need to start having this conversation? We haven't even had 2 episodes. We haven't even had 1 episode with a solid brand split yet. I don't think we need to start having this conversation about, should or shouldn't SmackDown wrestlers be fighting for the Raw championships. It's fucking blowing my mind, to be completely honest with you, that we are not even 1 week into this and we are having this conversation.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know what's going to happen with these guys here. It's a lot. It's strange, man, what they're doing here. I don't know.
Yeah, and then I mean, not that it matters, because it's house show dark match stuff anyway, but. I'm sure you didn't know. So the last night in the house, when that was over, Seth came out, challenged the Fiend, and then had a match with the Fiend for the house, like the dark match, and the Fiend attacked the ref, gave the ref a mandible claw, and got DQ'd. So that's kind of the circuit right now. That's what they've been running. It's just like, like why? You know?
Yeah.
For what? I'm waiting on that Don Tony soundbite still. For what?
With Seth, it's tricky, man. I don't know what the future holds for Mr. Rollins at this point. You know?
Yeah. The only other thing, well, not the, I had two things. One of them was your boy Buddy was on Monday Night Raw. We talked about it a little bit. Him and his match with Cedric. I thought that was really good. The other one,
I'm excited to see what happens with him.
Same, especially because we were talking about him last week. I find it's very coincidental that every time we bring up something on this roundtable show, we just happen to see something on the WWE television.
Well, on that note, actually, what about the fact that Eric Rowan got traded alone to Raw?
Yeah, 1 week after being reunited with his best buddy.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. Now, I mean, you know, is Harper gonna end up doing his own thing on SmackDown?
I hope so, because if he doesn't, I don't imagine Harper will be sticking around very long.
Yeah.
In my opinion, at least. I feel like he would be at least, seeking elsewhere, seeking other arrangements, as they could say. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I hear you.
Sorry, the one that I wanted to bring up, just because this is purely for me. I don't know how excited you were about this or not, but the Street Profits are officially on Monday Night Raw, so I got excited.
Yeah. So I have a couple of things on this.
Good, because so do I.
So, I think it's, it makes sense. Good call. I'm a little surprised that we didn't get any other. I mean, I guess if anyone, we probably would have expected them, being that they've, popped up so much, doing their little talking segments.
Oh yeah, I kind of anticipated that they'd be coming to Raw, especially when they lost the tag team championships in NXT, and then when they lost their rematch in NXT. That was when I really kind of was thinking, okay, they're probably coming, but I mean, you never know, so that's why I didn't get my hopes up.
But yeah, no, it's. Man. They're a good fit. Good fit.
Fuck yeah! Did you see them getting serious? That's what I loved, because they had a little confrontation with the OC there, and the OC were kind of telling him, like, make sure you know whose show this is or whatnot, and they weren't too mean. But then they went to walk away. They turned around and they beat the shit out of them. Like, they just fucking jumped them. And then later in the night, we get serious mode now from the Street Profits, which I've yet to see. You know what I mean? It's probably because I've watched genuinely more Street Profits promos on Monday Night Raw than I have, anything they've ever done in NXT, at least, as a whole. Like I've spent more time watching them in WWE at this point than I ever did in NXT. So I think they'll, I don't know, I think they'll do really well, but I was just happy to see how serious they got, because, I mean, I don't remember any of the lines or anything like that, but they just turned it on, and it went from everything being funny and, joking sometimes to this is now serious mode, and we're going to get a tag team partner who, I don't know who it'll be, speculate, I don't know, maybe Cedric, maybe something, Buddy, I don't know, something like that, because they're going to have a 6-man next week, right?
Well, is it? I thought it was that night. See, that's where I was taken back too. Yeah,
I mean, it could have been that stuff happens all the time, but I think for like they're actually hyping this one up next week, making us, want to see it, which I want to see it, but I hope that, I don't know, I hope if they lose to the OC so soon, I hope it doesn't hurt them, because the OC should, I don't know how to explain this, but the OC should look strong, but at the same time, I don't want these guys losing their first real match on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, there's a few options. There's a few guys I'm thinking of off the top of my head who they could bring in.
Yeah,
I think Kevin Owens could be a partner potentially.
That's definitely possible, because he is on Monday Night Raw. That's another name that we didn't really mention. Like I said, I don't think we need to get into much more of the draft stuff. We'll talk about more of it going forward, and who, in the next coming roundtables, who actually stays on each show, and what happens there with the trades and whatnot. And,
for some weird reason, man, I don't know how likely this is, or if this is just a far away thinking here, but you never know. If they maybe they call up maybe we do get a Matt Riddle. We get an NXT boy joining them, and maybe that's his entry into the land of Raw.
That would be nice.
More likely not. I think, I would almost probably go with the Kevin Owens if I'm to think about some guys. Yeah, it could be.
I wish
welcome
you could hear
to the Kevin Owens Show.
The sound effects that I've been playing, but you can't. So it's okay. Maybe you'll have to go back and listen to hear some of those. But I think that's everything from Raw and SmackDown, at least, that we should get into, and at least the most of the draft stuff. Like I said, we'll talk more about it going forward in the future. But do you want to get our thoughts, since we kind of predicted it last week when we did the episode 57 with Shane? Shout out to Shane. The Saudi show and some of the outside of wrestling attractions that we are now getting at this.
Oh yeah.
This I guess WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia is what they should start calling it.
You think so?
Well, they just call it. They already use Royal Rumble. I mean, they might as well just call it the greatest WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia, and it's a.
Oh, man.
There you go. It's a rhyme, and
yeah.
There you go. It rolls off the tongue.
A little strange. I mean, you know what? I say that, but I don't know how much I mean that either, because I feel like they try and pull out a lot of things. And hey, I mean, if we can't get, if we can't get Hulk Hogan in the ring, let's get him there. If we can't get Shawn out of retirement again,
yeah,
let's get a big time boxer or MMA. Like, I don't know. I guess this is them pulling out more heavy artillery, I guess.
Yeah. You bring up the Hogan one. Honestly, man, I kind of wish, obviously I wish they weren't going to Saudi in the first place, but if they were going to be going there and it was going to be bringing back legends and we were going to be doing stuff for the Prince and we're going to have to bring out the old guns to make them happy and that kind of stuff, or if that's what the case is, I don't mind this 5-on-5 Team Flair, Team Hogan thing. This, to me, this is what you should do. If you're going to bring guys back and you're going to have them go to another country and do a show because somebody in that country, wants to see those older guys as well, do it this way. Have them represent a team and have the current guys go out and actually, be the ones wrestling. I mean, we can talk about the, obviously, Tyson Fury stuff and the Cain Velasquez and big attractions at the Saudi show, and I have a different opinion on that. But I just mean, if you're going to have, classic wrestlers come back and do something, then this is the way it should be done, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Especially guys who are retired and whatnot,
Absolutely. And I know Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan aren't the same as, Shawn Michaels coming back or Goldberg and Undertaker coming back, but still, it's all gonna at some point you're gonna run out of guys, so you should do more stuff like this, get them used to this kind of thing, because then you can do all kinds of stuff. Then you can do Team Ricky Steamboat versus Team whoever that's too old to wrestle now, and then nobody's really gonna get upset about it.
Hey, man. All that being said, though, I got to tell you that they finally got me. For Saudi, you mean? They got me.
Like, you're gonna watch this one?
Got me. Oh yeah, they got me. They finally got me, because I am, as I don't know whether people like it or not, or I don't know what the general opinion is of most of these Brock and Cain or Tyson and Braun, but I am intrigued to watch those matches.
Oh, same here. I think I'm more intrigued to see Tyson Fury Braun, because I don't know what the fuck they're going to do, and we talked about it last week, but I just think Cain Velasquez and Brock, especially Brock being the professional that he is, I mean, he's going to be willing to work with Cain way more freely than he would be with somebody like a Dean Ambrose, you know what I mean? Somebody who's genuinely beat the shit out of him in real life before. He's just going to be more inclined to allow, deliver punishment to him. But the Tyson Fury Braun one, I don't think not that Brock and them care that much about looking weak, but I don't think either one of them are going to want to look very weak coming out of that, or even going through it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I really don't know. I was thinking in my head, maybe, we get a fuck you finish, and
probably, as bad as it sounds. I just think, and this is the last time I'll do it tonight, but because it was the line of the week, in my opinion, from Wade Keller, but it's just when he stated that, the biggest matches in wrestling used to happen at WrestleMania, and now they happen on Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock in Saudi Arabia. I fucking butchered that, but either way, they happen in Saudi Arabia on a Friday afternoon. It's crazy. Like these big attraction matches should be happening for the WrestleMania fans, not to take anything away from the Saudi fans. It's just the WrestleMania fans that travel from all over the globe to go to the greatest spectacle or whatever it's called. This kind of stuff should be happening at WrestleMania. And I guess it's a money thing, and me and you can talk about it till the cows come home and, use every saying in the book. But it's a money thing, and that's why they're going to continue to do the shows that they're doing. But I don't know.
Hey, well, just to play a devil's advocate on that, I agree to a certain extent, but at the same time, I'm glad that we didn't get some of those matches from past Saudi shows at a WrestleMania, like a those Shawn comeback or the Goldberg Undertaker debacle, or even Randy Triple H. Like I just
you're happy that they didn't happen at Mania?
Yeah, I mean definitely, yeah.
If they were going to happen anyway, you'd rather them happen over there, and then they're kind of like for the Goldberg Undertaker thing, it's a little more forgettable because it's not right in your face every time you want to go watch WrestleMania 30X whatever. And even the Shawn, even going back to Shawn, you got to go out of your way to rewatch that.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation in itself. Him coming out of retirement and whatnot, but
of course.
It is a little more forgettable as opposed to it happening at Mania, where we would all be like, it might tarnish a bit of his legacy more.
You know what? That's a really good point, man, because I never looked at it from that angle, and you're completely right, because I mean, I don't want to speak too soon, but I don't think we're doing any look-backs of Saudi greatest, Rumble show, or, I don't think they're coming anytime soon, nor do I think the future look-back, whatever that may be in 20 years, the crews that are doing look-back shows, hopefully by then, working for us. I don't think they'll be looking back at the Saudi Arabia shows very, even with a too fond of an eye either. Yeah. You know what I mean? Knowing hopefully what have come since then. But I don't know. Some of the other matches, like we talked about Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins kind of having a rematch there, Raw versus SmackDown, if a trade doesn't happen from now until then. And then there's a tag team tournament too to find out who's the greatest tag team in the world, and they'll probably.
Oh, hey, there we go. Now you're talking my language.
So you're excited about that?
No, I'm totally fucking kidding.
What if Shane comes back to become one half of the greatest tag teams in the world?
No.
And Shane could have 2 trophies? No.
Oh God, no! I think that's no.
Should I not have put that into the universe?
It's not even so much him. It's just the whole
the
whole thing is weird. Like that, the fact that we need a greatest the tournament and all. Hey, I'll make an early prediction though. I do think a team like the New Day probably takes that one.
Just a nice feel-good win for the New Day after Kofi coming out last week on SmackDown and not even acknowledging that he lost the WWE Championship.
Yeah, that was funny too because we just talked about that. Him just popping right back up.
Oh yeah, he just came right out. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Did he throw pancakes? I didn't catch that.
Well, I don't think so. Only because he was a part of the whole Susan G. Komen segment with giving away the women's championships to the breast cancer survivors. So obviously that was amazing, but I don't know, maybe not the segment that he should have debuted in after losing his championship that he had for 6 months in 6 seconds.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just a thought, maybe. I don't know. Anything else from you for the Saudi show as far as those big brawn stuff? I mean, we're obviously going to have more time. Hopefully you'll be on the show maybe next week too. We can discuss a little bit more of it in studio.
I mean, I'll be watching, so I'll be watching.
The round table or the crown jewel?
Oh no, the crown jewel.
Okay. Yeah, no, me too. Well, I don't know if I'll actually be. I might try and do what I did for the last couple shows, and that's maybe plan around my lunch break in the middle of the day for the main event-ish. I don't know. The last time I did it, I was able to see that Shawn Michaels Triple H match, so that was the only thing I saw from that show because I planned it so perfect for my lunch break, but I don't know.
Well,
you
yeah,
can't
I'll tell
sense
you
the
this.
sarcasm over the microphone.
It's on a. I'll tell you this, man. It's on a whim too. I'm not not to say that I'd be, salivating at the mouth trying to go out of my way to watch this, but as it happens, is that day. It falls on Halloween day. I don't think I'm going to be doing much that afternoon. I'm probably not going to be, attending work that anyway. So.
Okay.
It's not like I got some stuff on the plate. So hey, it's on. I'll be there.
Well, we'll do our final hype for it when we do our Halloween episode on the Wednesday before Halloween when we do that roundtable. So.
Hopefully, we got to orchestrate that. I got to talk to you about that off air too.
Absolutely, we'll definitely set it up. I'm still willing to do it on Halloween, but I know you said you were a little bit not available, so I figured.
Yeah, hey, you know what? We'll say this much: we'll get something for Halloween. We'll get something for the people. Something
is going to be coming for Halloween, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for the Halloween episode from the Look Back crew. Man, that's going to really bug me for the rest of the night that I couldn't remember whatever the hell I was talking about with that boardroom. Hopefully, or I'll probably remember as soon as we stop recording. But this has been cool to kind of do this little mix of, phone call. We haven't done one in a while, and then we're going to now transition into the F1 update with myself and Phil, talking about Suzuka and all that. So, yeah, I guess it's been good. Thanks for, calling into the show. I know you're the co-host, so I expect it, but
Hey, what about your boy Jinder Mahal? Shout out to that. He got picked. He was on there. That kind of shows that they care about him, no?
That's true. That is true. It shows that they care. But the guy was a WWE champion for a significant amount of time, so that shows that they care too. But yeah, I like the Jinder Mahal thing. I didn't get into it too much tonight. Maybe next week I'll talk to you more about it. But I'm not big on this whole Friday nights thing, man. Not my thing. Not huge on it.
Will you be tuning in this Friday night
for SmackDown?
Yes.
Oh, I'll definitely be watching. I'll be continuing to watch. You know me and how I am with, watching the WWE product. But I enjoyed kind of having my wrestling be in the beginning of the week. I enjoyed doing the roundtable. We typically would be doing it on a Thursday, and then now we're, it's Friday nights, and I still got to do, again, I don't want to make it sound like it's a burden on me, but it's just I enjoyed by having the roundtable finished up on Thursday that it was all right, that's my pro wrestling. We'll see you maybe over the weekend on YouTube Pro Wrestling. If not, see you Monday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was, I don't know. I just got to change my whole routine, and I'm not a big fan of it, but I don't know. It's been good.
Hey, dude, I'll tell you too. Sorry, one last thing is that just to speak on that, I hear you. I'm not going to be, between the AEW, the NXT, the Friday nights, the Monday nights, I am missing a lot of the live stuff just due to my life schedule.
Well, that happens, and with the amount of live wrestling that there is right now too, I don't blame you, bro. It's a lot to keep up with, but that's something you reminded me that I didn't bring up on the show either is I'm going to be doing a little bit of a list going forward as far as Dawn's AEW NXT list. So I'm going to put a tick on either side for each week that you watch each show. So then maybe in the future, which show you decide. I'm not going to write dates or anything like that. I just want to take a look at this in maybe 20, 30 weeks down the line, and we'll see which side has more ticks on it. So
that's an interesting one, yeah.
Yeah, so stay tuned for that. But I don't know. We thank everybody for checking out this half of the Roundtable, episode 58, right, Don?
Yes.
I'm reassuring myself every week now. But I don't know. I'm going to say it all again with Phil at the end. But check out @PW LookBack and the sponsors, all that good stuff. Check out the website for the T-shirts and whatnot too. I don't know if I've been saying that recently. So teespring.com/Pro Wrestling LookBack. And stay tuned. We're going to be on some new platforms soon as well. But I've been Nick.
And it's me, Just Don, telling you to stay classy. Remind them to stay fucking classy.
Stay classy, guys. Have a good one. And we're back. F1 update time. Nick is still here. That's me.
And I'm Phil. I've returned.
Yes. Back from episode 56 of the Roundtable. Good to have you in for another edition of the F1 update. Well, you were in for the whole show last time, but this is a little bit different. We're recording on a different day than me and Donovan recorded that you just listened to. And we're going to talk about Suzuka and kind of our whole experience of watching the race together and and that whole everything,
The early morning, or if you want to put it, the late night.
Yeah,
for other people.
Wherever you may have been when you were watching that race. So for us, it was we got together at like 8 p.m. on the Saturday night, 8 or 9 p.m. Eastern Canadian time.
Yeah, I got here around 9:30, and qualifying was already started by then. So
yeah, well, I guess just Eastern time. I don't want to, Canadian.
Mess with everyone.
Yeah, I don't want to say because I think the New York people are still using the same time as us. So, but yeah, so we started with the Bathurst 1000. We might as well mention that. Shout out to Will for bringing the laptop and setting that up and because we had the luxury of the 2 TV setup and. In the studio, we watched the start of the Bathurst 1000, and then you came over, Phil, for the beginning of qualifying. We watched. I think was there any pre-qualifying? I can't even remember. There might have been
a little bit,
like a half an hour pre-show or something like that.
It was probably a lot of it was rushed because of the whole cancellation from Saturday. So
exactly, which I guess we should talk about a little bit. The whole typhoon thing that we talked about, or I talked about last week, and the typhoon coming in. And probably postponing qualifying. That did happen, obviously.
Yep.
Qualifying was canceled, I think, on the Friday. They did it ahead of time. They didn't wait.
Free practice 3 was canceled.
And qualifying, which would be taking place on the Saturday.
Yes.
So, but they had announced that, I think, almost Thursday night or Friday morning-ish.
Yep.
Just to kind of preempt, let everybody know, hey, we're not going to wait and see.
Yep.
We're just canceling it now, and we're going to do the qualifying either on Sunday, or FP2 would have been qualifying if they hadn't had a chance to get to qualifying on the Sunday there. But yeah, so we sat and watched the qualifying at 8:30, I think it started, and then it went for whatever it was, an hour and a bit. Good time. I mean, Vettel, pole. Nice to see Vettel back on pole, which was a good...
Seeing good pace from him.
Yeah, so...
No spins.
It's just happy to see that Vettel, I feel like, at least I feel, he's kind of getting a grasp more of the car, because I felt like at the beginning of the year, obviously, with some of the spins and him getting beaten by his teammates so much, I felt like just the car wasn't to his liking, I guess. It's not that it was a bad car, obviously, by any means. At some points, I think this was the best car on the grid.
He wasn't able to make it perform to what he wanted it to perform.
Exactly, and I think it has to do with, some drivers like more of a squealy back end, and some guys like the back end to be a little more tight, different, obviously, downforce levels and stuff like that, too, comparing to...
Different differential outputs, too, that's
absolutely.
a big one.
Yeah, no, you could get into that more. Like that kind of stuff, that has to do with the tires on the rear spinning at different
speeds on a turn, yes, because the outer wheel will spin faster than the inner wheel.
And what kind of does that help you get more grip on exit when you're?
Yes and no, because if you have a fully locked diff, you will kick out that back end very easily. But if you have a little bit more of an open diff, that outer wheel can spin and it can tend to hold that traction more when you're going through the turn, and you can put the power down earlier.
Okay. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I talked to you about before, Phil, with you needed to teach me the sim racing. Shout out to the ARC Racing for Will, because we're working on it, Will. We're practicing. We're getting the...
I got my pace.
Yeah, there you go. I need to step it up is what's coming. But yeah, so qualifying was good. It was quicker, the little gap in between. Like, we got quite a bit of F1 pre-show. There was still the normal hour and a half F1 pre-show, so the gap in between was only, I think, 45 minutes or half an hour.
It seemed fairly quick.
Where there was no F1 on for us to watch, which obviously we were fine watching the Bathurst 1000 in between. So, race, I don't know. Do you want to get into the kind of the race outcome, or just, I don't know. One thing I want to talk about is I wish there was more of this late night stuff. Like, I wish...
Early morning or
late night, early morning. Yeah, I guess... you're right, because it would be the early mornings of Sunday.
Yep.
Here, at least. I enjoy this kind of staying up late to watch F1 through the night. It makes it feel like it's a bigger deal, I guess. Maybe I'm just more used to watching the races now, and that's why...
Maybe if I was 13 years ago when I was a little bit younger, it'd probably be easier to get up and stay up. But yeah, now it was a little bit more tough.
That's for sure, yeah.
But I still enjoyed it. Regardless of the fact when I was leaving your house, it was 3:30 or 4 in the morning. I was driving out with a smile on my face and already thinking about everything.
Yeah, and thinking about, hey, what am I going to say on the F1 update next week?
If I'm on the show.
But, I definitely wanted to I wish we could have had Will on for this too, just because the three of us all watched it together. But I enjoy the late night stuff. I think it's just because, you don't get to do the stuff that we did. I mean, it's tougher. I don't know. It depends on the person, but it's tougher to kind of get together on a Sunday morning at 6:30 or 7 in the morning.
Absolutely.
Come on over. We'll have breakfast. Like, it's a little different. It's a little easier to tell your buddies to come over on a Saturday night, hang out, and we'll watch F1 all night and drink beers and get into the, you know what it is.
The smoke sesh.
Exactly. But yeah, I don't know. We might as well get to the race itself. Valtteri Bottas, P1.
Valtteri Bottas.
Valtteri Bottas. If you haven't listened to the Beyond the Grid episode with Valtteri Bottas.
It was actually crazy to see him win after listening to that whole podcast. Was like, yes, I am glad. I am fucking happy for him right now.
Good. Talk about being happy too. Shout out to my mom.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Because we know how much I've talked about her if you're a frequent listener of the F1 update, and how much she enjoys, Valtteri Bottas's just demeanor and driving style and kind of everything about him. So I was happy for her, and me too. Obviously, I'm a big Mercedes fan, but I was happy for her for him to get the win. And what did I do when we were all watching the race together? First thing I did...
I'll be right back. I got to go talk to my mom.
Yeah, I just got to go tell her congratulations because, she was excited. So I guess one thing we'll get to before we get to the race points and how everything all worked out. Well, not the points, but the race finish is the points, because I always talk about the top 3 points getters right now. So it's still Hamilton with 338 points, Valtteri Bottas in second with 274, and Charles Leclerc in third there with 221. I guess we should just get into this right now. We might as well. Congratulations, Mercedes AMG Petronas, on 6 world championship titles. 6 consecutive.
It's a big one.
It's incredible. 6 consecutive drivers and constructors world championships. Never has that been done before in the history of Formula One. McLaren won 4 drivers and constructors championships through the 80s. Obviously, Ferrari did it in the early 2000s from 2001, I think it was, up to 2005 or no, 4, something like that. I think 99 to 04. And no, not 99, because that was Mika Hakkinen. Anyway, I'm getting off track. And Red Bull obviously doing it with Sebastian Vettel, 4 consecutive constructor title and driver titles in from 2010 to 14. But yeah, congratulations, Mercedes. This is incredible. It just never been done, and it's kind of crazy that I didn't understand the stat at first, because they were saying, they've won the Drivers' Championship. I'm like, what do they mean? Basically, Valtteri Bottas and Lewis have gotten far enough away from the Ferraris and the Red Bulls and all the other drivers that now the championship can only be won by Lewis and Verstappen. I keep saying Verstappen and Valtteri.
They may be foreshadowing something.
Well, maybe. Hey, maybe we'll have to check the recording on that one in 6 months' time. But yeah, I don't know. Amazing job by them for completing that 6 world championship titles in a row. As much as people want to say it's maybe not the best time in Formula One, too dominant for one team, if you go back, I remember the Ferrari days with my dad, and shout out to another show I know me and you both listen to, Shift Plus F1. They were talking, it felt more dominant back then. Yeah. And that was only 5 championships. Maybe that was because Michael was winning everything, and you didn't necessarily...
Consistent rate.
Yeah, you didn't necessarily have the, Nico Rosberg, Lewis Hamilton, or...
battles.
Exactly. Or even the Valtteri Bottas, Lewis Hamilton that we've gotten a little bit here and there.
I would like to see more of that, though.
So would I. I mean, it's obviously they're getting the same car. I don't think it's anything sketchy in that kind of scenario.
No, absolutely not. You can't.
Sometimes I just think Lewis, and obviously he gets a lot of credit. I'm not trying to say that he doesn't. I just feel like I think people take away from how good of a driver he really is because of how good the car he's driving is.
Well, they mentioned that he's able to preserve the tires better than Vettel would have been in the race.
Well, and
that right there should tell you that he's got the skill to understand how to put that car in and out of the turn to save those tires.
Yeah.
That right there should be enough to say, like, this guy's a good driver. He knows what the fuck he's doing.
And for people to, he's driving, it's like, well, then why hasn't Valtteri won a world championship yet?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it's that easy, then clearly, so I don't want to get hung up on that, and Lewis hasn't even won the championship yet. I mean, hopefully, maybe in Mexico, that'll make it 3 years in a row if he did it in Mexico 3 years in a row.
We'll cross your fingers for that one.
Maybe. I wouldn't mind waiting a little bit longer. Maybe go to Brazil. He could win it in Brazil for Senna, his hero when he's a kid and stuff. But anyway, Valtteri Bottas, P1, led all weekend. Led the practice sessions. I guess he didn't lead qualifying. He didn't qualify on pole, but he led all the practice sessions, and he led a lot of qualifying, I think, right up until the very end when Vettel. Too many V's. Vettel snipes the pole from him. So yeah, like I said, shout out to my mom. Amazing job by Bottas, and hopefully, maybe after Lewis wins that championship, Bottas can go on a little bit of a spree similar to Nico Rosberg in 2015 and kind of win out the rest of the season and have that ride that wave right into 2020 the way, like I said, Rosberg did into 2016, which eventually led to a Nico Rosberg World Championship at 2016. So you never know.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll go kind of in order of the top 3 teams, not necessarily the driver or the positions. Hamilton down in P3. He was pretty upset with the strategy.
He seemed like he was upset with the whole weekend.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think he felt like he would have had way better of a chance to do something in the race if they would have allowed him to make a pit stop at a different time. And he just
he was a
he
pit
wasn't
stop
on
back, right?
Mm-hmm.
One pit stop back and pretty much out of the race is what he was saying. Honestly, I'm not sure.
Yeah. It's one of those things with Lewis where he always has that kind of...
He's either on or off. You know what I mean?
That or it's one of those things that he always talks about the what if too much, I think. And I love Lewis. I'm a huge fan, but he always goes into that factor of, well, if we did this and if we did that, then you know what I mean? And sometimes it's like, well...
Why didn't you put me on hard tires? Well, we didn't have the data for the hard tires.
Exactly.
The degradation's too high.
And I think...
Then it's just a back and forth kind of thing, you know?
They weren't willing to risk not winning that Constructors' Championship, I think, this weekend. They didn't want to take any risks and have Lewis, because they only sealed that Constructors' Championship by Lewis getting the fastest lap with 1 point.
Really?
So 1 point is what sealed the Constructors' Championship.
If Leclerc took that point away from him with the fastest lap,
they wouldn't have won the Constructors' Championship. I mean, they probably still would have won it at some point throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah, but it still would have been a kind of, it wouldn't have been set in stone right then and there. You know
Absolutely,
what I mean?
yeah.
We wouldn't be seeing Instagram posts of Mercedes putting these beautiful stickers and decals on their windows and everything.
I love that you saw that because I was going to bring it up, but I didn't know if you had seen it. So I'm like, I'm not going to bring it up.
So it's like, yeah, I guess it's a great in a way. You see how amazing they are with the car and the way they designed it, developed it, and how consistent they are to keep the power down. But also, from what we heard with Julian Palmer saying, they have overheating issues.
Yeah.
So we've
and
already
you mean with the whole car, not the tires?
Whole car, yeah, whole car overheating issues. So we've already seen that once. We possibly could see it in Mexico, but that's a little bit forward for now.
No, for sure. In Mexico with the thin air and stuff, that could definitely come into play. So I mean, maybe we'll get you back next week and we can preview Mexico a little bit together. I don't know. We'll see where the cards lay. But moving on to Ferrari, Vettel in P2, kind of a tough start. Obviously, we saw the jump start a little bit.
The not-so-jump start?
Yeah, but he saved it. That was a hell of a save. For him to move it and still be inside that box.
He definitely gave himself a comfort zone, or he didn't anticipate that comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because the way Julian Palmer explained it on that video, you could see the whole yellow line beside him, and when he rolls, that yellow line is still visible, still there. But then they previewed Magnussen from 2017, I believe.
I think it was 19 in Austria. Yeah,
okay.
I think it was. It might not have been.
You see the same thing happen, but he rolls way farther. But right from the beginning, you're seeing that yellow line is about half cut off from like the side of his winglets. So
it shows you how much more farther ahead Magnussen was than Vettel.
So it's almost like, do you try and stay cautious and stop a little bit farther back from that line, so if you ever do have this jump start situation, you have that comfort zone to stop again?
Yeah.
Or do you just try and get it right to the max and hope to God that when you're releasing at that perfect time?
Well, that would be more like what happened to Kimi, I would say, in Russia, because when he released,
once he jumped,
he was fully out. He was half his car was out of the box at that point. Vettel, like his ability to move the car like 2 inches.
Boom.
And then stop it. But did you see he stopped it and then it started to roll back a little bit just with the natural like stopping motion of going forward and back. And then as soon as he was kind of coming back is when the lights went out. So then it was like a stop, forward, back, forward. It's hard to explain obviously through audio, but go watch the Julian Palmer.
Yeah, it was from his brakes, right? Because when he pressed his brakes and let off, that motion of the inertia pushing forward and back would have sent the car back just a little bit.
Exactly, and you could see it in that opening.
I didn't catch that, but that was a good eye on you.
But yeah, so tough start for him, but he managed to battle it out and fight back. Well, I guess stay where he was in P2 and chase down Bottas to the end.
I'm surprised that they did a 2-stop, right?
Yeah, but he managed to. Not many of those we see this year. No. It's a lot of 1-stoppers. So for him, and I think
back-to-back softs, right?
Yeah, and Valtteri did a 2-stopper as well, right? Because I think that's why they did it. I think they did it to try and match.
Yeah.
Because they were worried if they didn't, then Valtteri would have passed him anyway.
I don't think Bottas went to softs the second time, though. I think he might have went to mediums.
Yeah, I think you're right. The yellow stripe, right?
Yeah, mediums.
Is the medium? Yes. I get so confused, man. Honestly, you don't even want to know what I've dealt with in 3 years of watching since the beginning. Well,
I don't want to know because I'm looking at these highlights from 2-3 years ago, and it's like super soft, super soft, and it's like, what the fuck is all of this? Just give me 3 tire compounds and make me happy,
bro. Last season we had hyper soft.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
And they were pink tire wall, and it was there was literally. We should look this up later off air, but there was like the list, it looked like a rainbow of tires. It was insane. So now this year they have that whole C1, C2, and C3. So they've got 5 compounds, and they essentially move those 3 within the 5. So it's like harder.
So you have your wet ones also in within the 5.
No, that's separate. That would be on top of the 5.
So it'd be another 7 sets.
So now there's like C1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they'll use, let's say, 1, 2, 3 for this weekend, and 1 is soft, 2 is medium, 3 is hard. But then they'll move it across. So let's say in a different track, now 3 becomes soft, 4 becomes medium, and 5 becomes hard.
Oh, okay.
So they just move it along depending on what track they're at. It was a little, when they first introduced, I was like, holy crap, now this? I mean, I just got used to the rainbow tires last year. And the ultra softs and the, you know what I mean?
Super softs, ultra softs, hyper softs.
Well, that's, man, and playing the video game, I know we're jumping all over, but playing the video game too was, I got used to driving with the purple ultra soft tires. And now that doesn't even exist in the games. You probably had never even seen that.
No.
Purple was always the one, if you went to qualifying hot lap time, your car had purple tires because those were the fastest tires always.
Yep.
So, yeah, side topic from tires and all that kind of stuff. But, yeah, good one from Vettel, I guess. Did what he could to stay in P2. Got passed, obviously, with his little bit of jump start by Bottas.
That was a wicked start, regardless, though.
To stay in P2
yeah.
after making a mistake like that. Look where Kimi was last week. It's almost ruins your entire race. So
complete opposite.
Yeah, good on Vettel. Leclerc, on the other hand, though, I feel like the F1 update is, not that Leclerc's listening, but it's we haven't been too kind to him on this show, and I don't want to make it seem like I'm a Leclerc hater, because I am not by any means.
I don't feel like it's only this show, because it seems like a few other podcasts that I've been listening to also mention the same similar situations.
It's true. But he was also
hiccups, I guess you can say.
You could have called him, Leclerc Christ at the beginning of the year, because it was like he was the savior to come and save Ferrari and the new young guy, and he was just, I don't want to make it seem again that I'm a hater. It was just, he was so beloved, and I find it funny now that it's like, oh, now we're starting to see how he actually acts, and maybe he isn't quite the goody two-shoes guy we thought he was, you know what I mean? But yeah, so he had a bit of a mishap there with our Honda boy Max. Turn 1, he came up the inside, and he was getting beat by Max down the little straight that there is there in Suzuka, and he came up the inside, got a little bit of oversteer. I think the downforce affected him too.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at the same time, bro, everybody's getting downforce going through turn 1 with 20 cars going in. Like, nobody's got perfect downforce.
No, and like Shift F1 said, that he should have expected that. He should have anticipated that. He's been driving cars for how long, and he knows that situation. He knows that if you have a car in front of you, you have dirty air, you're going to lose downforce.
Yeah, or ease up a little bit. Maybe get Max back down on the straightaway after the end of lap 1.
Like,
think ahead.
You see him on the outside. You see that you have a whole car's width on the inside of you, but you continuously try to push it. I get it. You're racing. You're trying to fill that gap. You're a racing car driver.
Yeah,
I understand
if
it.
There's a gap that exists. You must go. I get it.
You know what I mean? We all do, but at the same time, there's a fine line, a margin to think that, like, yo, do I push this guy off track and cause an issue, or do I just let off and maybe lose a position, but possibly retake it after? He was so strong after the fact. When he finally pitted and he came back out, he was overtaking cars on practically on every 130R he was going around.
After pitting for a front wing and no mirror, and we'll get into some of that. But yeah, if you watch the onboard, because there's a lot of different onboard shots of this collision here, and I don't know why it took them so long to divvy out the penalties after post-race.
Well, they're just in a whole nother world, apparently.
Made no sense. But so if you watch Lewis's onboard and you see how much space there is in between the inside curb and Leclerc's outside right front tire, it's like, why did you go so far left? And like I said, if you've been beaten at that point, okay, let him get ahead. He's not going to pull away from you like in one lap.
There's still a whole pack.
Stick behind him, go through the S's, get yourself back to the end to get down to that straightaway after 130R. Either send it in on that chicane after 130R or do the chicane and then send it in your next time around on turn 1.
Yeah, it's not like Verstappen was going to take off with the lead or anything. There was Bottas and Vettel in front of him. You know what I mean? There was a group of cars. There was 2 cars at least that are going to be slowing him down. Yeah. If that pace wasn't up to what he had, it was going to be a packed up train going through the S's, and I don't see why Leclerc wouldn't have let off just for that little half a second. But
the difference, I think, is
racing mentality.
Yeah, and experience too. Because I can tell you, and I wouldn't guarantee it, but I can tell you, I feel like Verstappen would have made the same mistake 2 years ago. But Verstappen
I would see that too.
Been in here 5 years now. He's smartening up. He's making like you said to me before we hit record. He said, "Oh, he understeered into me." What was it? How did he know? Well, it's experience. He knows that going into this corner, you lose a little bit of downforce or whatever, you're gonna understeer. So think about that when you're going.
If Max knew he was gonna understeer, that means Leclerc should have known and should have been way more prepared for that second turn, and then I wouldn't have an outcry of fucking heartbreak for
Honda. At their home race. Luckily,
second turn, no.
Yeah.
Okay, keep watching.
Luckily, Albon still had a good one, but we might as well, since Verstappen's kind of mixed into this same conversation. I want to finish on Leclerc actually quick because he, again, adding to more of his stupidity, in my opinion, driving around with a broken car.
And then debating to pit. Asking to pit.
We're gonna bring you in next lap. I think we should just try it a little bit longer.
The car doesn't feel too bad.
What? Your team just asked you to come into the pits. Mm-hmm. You come in the pits.
You don't question it, especially after the fact.
You still have to be your own person. Like, I don't want to make it seem like to the listeners that me and you are saying, well, you only do what the team says. But there's a point where
there's a fine line.
Yeah.
If all that debris fell off at the accident at turn 2 and you didn't have shrapnel hanging from your car doing 300 kilometers down the back straight.
Trying to hold it on with your hand.
Yeah, holding on to the mirror. I remember, oh my God. That's a different story.
He's reaching over to the left mirror with his right arm as he takes 130R holding the steering wheel with his left hand flat. And I'll give him credit for that, but
That's stupid, though.
Yeah, I didn't appreciate somebody driving around with a broken car. And, shout out to my dad for really giving it to me on the phone this week. And we were talking, and he's like, well, it's stupid. You should just let him drive. I'm like, Dad, a piece of that car flies off and hits Lewis's mirror. Okay. A piece of that car flies off and hits Lewis's helmet or his or his shoulder. Yeah, not okay. Then what? Then what does Leclerc do? If somebody, it has a catastrophic accident out of this, and he's going, if something would have, I don't want to even speculate, but if something bad would have happened, they were going into 130R.
Yeah, there's not much.
So if something happened to Lewis, it's not like Lewis is taking that left-hand turn at 300K. He's going straight, which isn't good. So I just thought that, no, you get into a mistake like that, you've already made your fucking mistake at turn 1 with Verstappen we talked about. Own up to it, go in the pits, and then, like you said, maybe if he would have pitted a little bit earlier, he would have been able to come back a little bit more because he was coming back really well.
The whole situation of when he was told to pit, I understand because I believe it was just after the chicane, so he didn't actually have time to go into the pit section.
Yeah.
But that's when we heard the radio message when he was on that straight say, you need to box now.
Yeah, right before the chicane after 130R, which is enough time to still get into the pits.
I thought it was just after.
Was it?
That's what
I thought you were talking about the back straight, but yeah, you might be right. Was it lap 2 then that they asked him? After he had already completed a full lap, he was entering lap 2, and that's when they said, come in.
You need to box now.
Okay,
and then that's when he's like, oh, well, the car doesn't feel too bad. We should try to stay out. And then that lap 2 is when the splitter actually flew off and went and hit
the side of Hamilton's car.
Lewis's car, and then left debris, went into Norris's brake duct, and that whole situation was just a mess.
It caused an effect of more drivers, just from one guy not wanting.
Lewis lost his mirror.
Yep.
And then later in the race, well, what lap was it? 6 or 7? You see Leclerc's mirror just gone, flies off. Where the hell did it go?
Well, no idea. That's what hit Lewis. Leclerc.
No, I thought that was the. Was it?
I think it was the.
I thought it was the end plate that broke off, and it might have. Yeah, it broke off, hit his mirror, and then flew off.
Yeah, you're probably right. I thought it was the mirror that hit the mirror, so my bad.
No, because he was holding it. Remember?
Yeah, but then I thought it broke eventually.
Yeah,
and
I know it broke eventually, but
either way. So yeah,
regardless, like you said, it doesn't matter. Like your dad said, let them race. I get it. Cool. If it has some damage, that's fine. But the fact is that
when you're endangering other
drivers, that's that. Yeah, stewards and everything. I get it though, right?
Or fans, spectators, marshals.
Felipe Massa with the spring?
With the spring from the Brawn in 2009. Crazy, man.
And that was instant.
That was
pure and that would have been the same situation if, thank God we already have the halos because you see that shrapnel or that piece of carbon fiber freaking flick off the halo off of Lewis's car.
Yep, just like it did in the F2 race.
Yeah. And it's
save that kid's life probably.
I don't know. I just think he should have had the manly standpoint to just to pit without even knowing that he should have known that he needed to pit.
Yeah.
He had damage on his car. End of story. Not debate to stay out, to debate to, the car doesn't feel that bad.
Well, no, and this is, I guess, the last time we'll shout him out tonight, but Shift Plus F1, Danny O'Dwyer talked about something on there that I thought just resonated with me so much. And he talked about the way Ferrari talks on the mic to each other. And they talk to each other like it's very just, they're deciding out there. It's, we might do this, and how about we don't come in, and it's very in the moment.
Yep.
Whereas when you hear oh my God, what's his name? James Vowles? No, that's not who it is. Bono talk to Lewis. He sounds like a fighter jet pilot.
Yeah,
like
info.
The way he gets info and then message, like it sounds like they're communicating to someone in the most professional.
I remember that from that.
Like you know what I'm trying to say. I'm doing a bad job of articulating this on the show, but basically he was saying that the way Mercedes talks to Lewis is like a fighter jet, and the way that Ferrari is talking to Leclerc, or Leclerc's talking back to Ferrari, is just like a Sunday drive.
Yeah, it's a casual.
No pun intended. Sunday drive.
Yeah, it's a casual conversation between them too. But then when you listen to Mercedes, it's info, it's information, it's everything the driver needs to know to either keep pushing or pull off a bit or whatever he needs to do.
Yeah. I guess we might as well. So Verstappen didn't make it after that little whole kerfuffle. I think, what did he do? 2-3 laps?
Yeah,
they
I think
tried
an underbody issue or something.
They were losing too much downforce from the floor, I think is what it was. And at a track like Suzuka, you
need it.
You were losing probably so much time in Sector 1, that it just wasn't worth. Like every lap you were going to be losing time, you're not going to be gaining.
Yeah.
So you might as well just retire the car, save the engine.
Sucks so much, right? It's Honda and everything getting pulled off, but
I know, but luckily Albon came out with a nice race for us, P4.
A little dive bomb into the chicane, but we did good though.
He did. That was lap 4, right on Norris, into the chicane.
3 or 4.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
A little bit too much, in my opinion. It looked like something maybe me and you would try in F1 2019 against the computers.
Fuck yeah.
Or the people online, either or. But yeah, it just, you could tell, and then we watched the videos too, Norris just wasn't checking the mirrors either, which you don't really expect him to at that point. He probably knew Albon was there. He probably checked on before they turned into 130R.
Yep.
And he probably thought, okay, he's not going to make a move on me in the chicane. He's not close.
And all of a sudden
he's on the inside.
Front wing is there.
Yeah, and Norris is turning left at a right turn. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Good race by Albon to get himself up to P4. We might as well get it in now. So, Leclerc was penalized at the end of the race. So that kind of promoted some of the people up in their positions. And I have the list, I think, right here. So Albon moved up to P4, Sainz moved up to P5, and Ricciardo moved up to P6 because Leclerc, I think, originally was in P5 or 6. I can't remember if it was Ricciardo that jumped him or Ricciardo and Sainz that jumped him.
Ricciardo jumped him.
Just Ricciardo. Okay, so he finished in P6 then originally, and he was bumped down. So yeah, really good race by Albon and Sainz to finish in P4 and 5 without... the penalty didn't affect their position.
Nope.
The incident at the beginning of the race did, but not the penalty. So it's not like Leclerc had enough to fight back. And then the only other little thing about Leclerc I want to talk about is just the whole idea with the pit stop at the end. Whereas I think if they didn't do that extra pit stop, then he would have been able to build up that gap, and maybe Ricciardo would have finished behind him because he would have been 20 seconds ahead of Ricciardo.
How was his tires, though?
That's I don't know enough to really give you a proper answer on that. So
because if he was pushing hard right off the beginning of that stint, he was
trying to get
really
to the
losing,
end. You're
losing grip and track wear and everything. So
no, that's very true. Did you want to talk about anybody else in the race? Because obviously we know this isn't a full F1 podcast. We don't need to get into every single person. Maybe that's coming in the future. I don't know. Keep your ears and eyes peeled for that. But I mean, like I said, McLaren had another really good day. Obviously, Norris with the whole bump that he got from Albon sent him back out of the points. But
but he took that fairly well. You know
yes.
what I mean? He just said he pushed me off track. What was I supposed to do? And then you hear the opposite. You hear the radio call from the Red Bull team, and he's just like, "Good job, Albon."
Yeah,
that's it.
That's
nothing else, nothing more.
Well,
just
they don't want to poke the bear, I guess. They don't want to excite, go nuts, and
no, I get that, but at the same time, I feel like they all saw that was a really risky move, high risk, high reward. I get it.
That's true.
But for him to get that and still come out with minimal to no damage, they should have been like, good move, but next time try and be closer or something else to avoid a situation like that.
Yeah. what about the race ending early and Perez getting points while also crashing in the same race?
Yeah, I'm still so confused of that. I don't know if it was because I was like 3/4 asleep at that point or
what it was.
I
remember looking up at the laps, and I remember Perez crashing and being like, oh, fuck, he crashed on the last lap. That sucks. And I remember that registering in my head. So then I remember them saying, oh, the flag's out early, and then Perez finished in the points, and I'm going, didn't he crash? Like, I watched him crash, and I remember thinking, oh, that sucks. He crashed on the lap. Like,
so it was a whole lap early.
So what happened was, it was the opposite of what happened in Canada when I was there last year. So I think her name was Winnie Harlow. She's a model, and they told her to wave the checkered flag. Well, they told her 1 lap early. So the race ended when I was in Montreal 1 lap early because the checkered flag technically was out. And in the rule book, it states that if the checkered flag, the physical checkered flag, is waved, that is the end of the race. Since that happened in Montreal, they now changed the rule to be the digital screen. So if the digital screen has the checkered flag, then that is the official end of the race.
Digital screen on the wheels.
No, digital screen on the similar to
on the side.
Yeah, you know when you see like a yellow flag or
like
safety,
okay,
same exact.
Sorry.
Yeah, same little screen there. So, what was I saying? Jesus.
They changed the rules to the digital screen rather than being waved.
So they changed it back to being the digital screen is the official end of the race. Well, the digital screen went 1 lap too early here in Suzuka, so then they had to take that because the digital is now the official. Yep. So then they had to take that as the official end of the race. And I just remember noticing it all and realizing like, oh shit, that sucks for Perez. And then to realize that he did finish in the points. I should have looked this up before recording, but like I said, we're not an F1 podcast. Maybe when we get to that point, if we do, I should have looked up if this has happened before. I'm very curious if somebody's ever DNF'd, quote unquote,
on the last lap, but not really
and
last
gotten
lap.
Points. Like I want to know if somebody has not finished a race but also gotten points.
So technically, he would have finished the race then.
You're right. So yeah, basically it would have had to be another scenario like this where the race ended by accident a lap early, and it would have to be the exact same scenario.
Yeah.
But I'd be curious to know if this is the first and only time that that's ever happened, because I honestly just don't know. And then the only other little thing, that start from Hulk, man. What a start. I think he passed 6-7 guys coming out of turn 1.
Yep.
It's crazy. So yeah, you don't see that a lot in F1 unless you're watching F1 2019 highlights and video game stuff. You know, it's just not.
But
even that, the esports, you don't see something like that either.
Not on turn 1, not right off the grid start. Like that was.
It looked like
that was something else.
AI on easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out.
And you're the driver.
Yeah. Did you want to talk about Kubica at all? I wanted to shout out the Williams team just for getting that car put back together after.
Oh yeah, that was amazing.
Crashing and qualifying two hours later.
Yeah, it was qualifying Q1.
Yeah. So and he crashed in Q1. He kind of went off at the very.
Right out of the chicane.
Final turn
coming into the straight. I believe he caught the grass on his left side and it just pulled him in.
Yeah.
And he hit the wall. But it was really odd to hear his radio comms.
Yeah.
And the interview after.
What did he say? Get into this, because I know I asked you before we hit record, but I wanted you to tell me on air for the first time.
I'm pretty sure something along the lines of, "This is a fucking joke." After he hit the wall, and then it's like, what do you mean it's so fucking... So I'm assuming that there had to be a lot of situations that kind of led to this, possibly the lack of parts, possibly the team telling him something different, also hearing that they were testing a new wing for the 2020 season. So if all this was affecting him and they put it on his car and they're like, "Hey, Robert, go out there and see what you can do," and the car doesn't feel right, or the car wasn't operating right because of the fact that they just rebuilt it.
Well, that's
that's an upsetting situation.
It is. The money situation at Williams has really hindered their ability to really do anything this season, aside from, improve. Like they're not competing; they're just improving.
Yeah.
That's kind of all they're
improving between themselves, really.
Exactly.
And even that is.
They're basically just trying to build a better car than they brought to Australia.
Yep.
That's kind of, I would imagine, their main goal with that.
They're using 21 races to just improve on the same car, and that's the upsetting part. You know what I mean? Because of how much history Williams has.
I mean, you're Polish, man. Like,
yeah,
you being a Polish guy wanting to see this,
when I heard that Kubica was coming back, I was so shocked. I was so happy. I was watching him during the World Rally Car stages.
Yeah.
So, like, for me to see him go from one, competition to another, it was crazy. And then getting back into F1 and then just seeing, he's P19, P20, P19, P20. And it's like, fuck.
I'm sure him coming back had at least part of the reason why you're, getting more into Formula One than you maybe have been ever.
Even my father, he hardly ever watched Formula One in the past.
Yeah.
And because Kubica came back, guess what's on the news on Polish Network? Robert Kubica talking about the races all the time. So guess what? Now my dad talks to me about F1, but it's only about Robert, though.
But
doesn't talk about anyone else.
But he's all over. Like, shout out to Pat and Dom and Paul.
Dude, he's a huge superstar in Poland, man.
Like, all these guys are all obviously Polish guys that we work with, but I mean, they tell me about the Polish TV, and the truck driver tells me all the time. He's like, yeah, Polish TV, that this guy is
TV Polonia.
Yeah, and he's all over it. Like, anytime this guy watches Polish TV, it's always Kubica. So, but I guess he's probably one of the, if not the biggest
racing car drivers,
one of athletes, I would probably imagine, if not, like, I'm sure there's some soccer stars and stuff too.
Well, obviously, yeah, because of the Polish team and
of
stuff.
Course.
But then they're also big into, little off topic, about like winter sports, like the ski jump, the long ski jump. There was a really, really famous Polish guy named Adam Małysz, and he was holding world record for like the longest time.
Oh, wow.
But I'm not too sure. I don't want to get into that. But
is that like the one where they start up real high and then come down, and then they're like
this going through? Yeah,
their skis are almost touching their cheeks.
Yep, crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome shit. But yeah, maybe we'll have to. I don't know. You have to show me him because I'm curious
the
now.
The drift dirt bike thing. I forgot what those are called. The side tracks or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That's huge in Poland,
and
too.
I'm sure rally car, too.
Oh, rally car, absolutely.
As well as
they have stages right through, like North Poland and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
Like through the mountains and shit. So actually, that would be technically south.
I wonder what the future of Robert Kubica holds for auto racing and motorsport in general. I hope he sticks with something.
Yeah, that would be nice to see, but, you know, he doesn't seem like he had an easy recovery with that right arm.
No, but he doesn't seem like he wants to stop either.
No, he doesn't. It doesn't seem
I mean?
like he has like the motivation to keep going, keep driving, but it seems like he just wants something to drive him now.
Yeah. This is backwards a little bit from where we are now, but just talking about more of his car. The steering wheel, the only thing I had heard is that there was something to do with power steering, and that the power steering settings changed from practice to qualifying. So he had made that turn thinking
he had more assist.
Not necessarily. I guess assist, like power steering is a type of assist, you're right. So he thought he had the right angle, I guess, the right movement of the steering wheel, that he would be fine.
Yeah, holding that.
He just didn't. So for them to be doing something,
but he didn't let off though. Like, he hit that grass and he was just still on it. And
I noticed that too. Me and you have done enough sim racing that if
you can tell
you get one tire on the grass,
it pulls you.
Yeah, unless you let off.
And just hold that angle. But I understand what you're saying. And
yeah.
As for the steering wheel, though, I don't know if I remember. I mentioned to you that he didn't get his custom-made steering wheel until after Monza.
Yeah, that's nuts.
That's
I was gonna bring that up, but I couldn't remember the exact stat. But obviously, you were the one that told it to me, so you brought it up, which is great. That's insane.
So think about that. Here, learn this steering wheel that George is using this whole season. Oh, here you go, Monza. Here's your steering wheel. Now relearn all your buttons.
With no time left.
No time. Like, that's what's mind-blowing to me, because obviously they made it predominantly to the left side for his left hand to be using all the buttons, and pretty much right is just going to be upshift.
I like George Russell, but I really hope that he doesn't get any points for the rest of the year, so Kubica can finish ahead of him in the end of the, even though, because Russell's beat him almost every race, but it'd be nice to see.
As you said, though, George is a good driver, and he has some talent and skill. That's why he's on Williams, but...
Yeah, and I mean, hopefully, I think one day he'll probably be at Mercedes if he keeps the same projection that he's on.
If your boy Ocon doesn't boot him out.
I think that has a lot to do with how well Ocon does at Renault next year. I think that'll be a big factor in deciding if he comes to Renault and he's keeping up with Daniel Ricciardo on a regular basis, then
should be pretty good.
He might be slotted for that 2021 Mercedes seat. You never know. Only other little thing, because I know we're going a little bit long, but that's how it is when we do the two-parters here. Well, first time we've done a two-parter like this, and anytime I bring someone like Phil or Will in to talk F1, we're always going to go a little bit longer. Just a shout-out to the Ralf Schumacher Beyond the Grid interview. That was a really good interview this week, talking a lot about him and Michael, and he even made comments about, I don't know if I would have been in F1 without my brother. You know what I mean? I don't and he won 6 races. He's not like he was a, bottom of the pack always guy. Like, he's clearly...
He was a somebody.
Exactly. So, and I didn't realize he had spent as long as he did. I thought he was in F1 5, 6, 7, maybe years. He was there like 11 years.
I was going to say 10 plus.
Yeah.
I wanted to say 10 plus.
And I just remember with my dad when I was a kid, I remember watching obviously a lot of Schumacher, and my dad being like, yeah, that's his brother. And I was just like, oh, like that's
so cool.
Is that just how it works? Like, if you're that good, your brother's good too. You're young, you don't know. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, so shout out to that interview. If anybody hasn't seen it or hasn't listened to that show in the past, go check it out because it's well worth the listen. I think, honestly, I've listened to every episode. I went to see just in case. I was like, oh, maybe I missed one.
downloaded.
Well, they all say played. I'm like, oh shit, I've actually listened to all of
Three
these.
Legs, Four Wheels?
No, 3 Legs, 4 Wheels I've been listening to. I haven't missed an episode in 3 years, but I wasn't listening day one.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't go back. But no, this Beyond the Grid.
Oh, yeah, I always mix those two up, sorry.
Yeah, the Beyond the Grid stuff, I've literally watched. I remember the first one was with Lewis, and I was talking about it. When I started with Honda, and I was delivering a car, and I listened to it without even the audio jack. I just put my phone in the cup holder and drove home and listened to that first ever episode. But yeah, good show. Last thing, I guess, well, two things. One is more down and one is more up. Let's start with the down. Renault scandal and the brake bias. We don't know if this position for Ricardo that we talked about in P6 is going to be, P6 at the end of this.
Might have a disqualification, which would be very unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, and that could change tomorrow by the time this is released. I do not know. But with that happening, it's basically what happened is the brake bias is being done non-manually. The car is doing itself throughout the laps
automatically.
Yeah, similar to like 1990s suspension with Art and Senna, him talking about other cars maybe having automatic suspension and it doing
the auto leveling and everything.
Very simple, which is something that's very normal now.
Yeah,
but in 10 years, I'm sure automatic brake bias will be normal too. But
it potentially could be, but at the same time, they need to keep that driver aspect, right?
I couldn't agree more, because as hard as it is to drive those cars, you still need to understand, like,
what's it doing? It shouldn't be just, okay, I'm pressing the gas pedal and going. It's why my brakes are locking up? I need to switch it. I need to put more to the rear or more to the front just to change that up. And
there's got to be reasons why.
If the computer's doing that for you right on the straight or whatever, I don't find that fair, because that is pretty much an assist. That is no different than having an ABS assist there. You can slam on your brakes and it just, boom, ABS kicks in.
And it's going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And you want to be able, you don't want to have it so guys like Brandon Lee, shout out to Esports 2018 champion, you don't want to have guys like Brandon Lee be able to sit in Bottas or Lewis's car and run the thing around the track 5 seconds off the pace. That's just not how Formula One should be, nor is it. I just mean, we don't want that. We want these cars to be fighter pilot guys driving these fucking things, So I don't know. We'll see what happens with the whole kind of speculation.
I found it interesting, though, just like how they had it mounted and placed just right off to the side. No hiding spot, no nothing. It's like they didn't care.
They seem to be pretty confident that this isn't breaking any rules. And from what I heard on 3 Legs, 4 Wheels, shout out to them again, the FIA has taken the brake bias, they've taken the steering wheel, and they've taken the control electronics from the cars.
Yeah,
they're in possession of the FIA.
Checking all the values, I believe, the data and inputs
exactly.
and everything.
So they'll know for sure. I mean,
absolutely.
If there's something wrong with it, they're going to find it, and we'll find out obviously in the next week.
If they're seeing that the brake bias is literally changing between each braking zone of every turn, you can't do that on every turn if you're doing it yourself. You know what I mean?
No.
Like that's the computer doing it for you, and that's how you're gaining that slight advantage. And you saw how Ricardo was going through the field,
killing it, man.
He got past Magnussen and Hulkenberg.
It was the braking too. It wasn't
and he said, "I will get them." And what does he do? 1 car, 2 car, 3 car, and it's just like it felt like it wasn't going to stop.
And it's like, how is he doing this? You don't want to take away the credit from Ricardo.
No, absolutely, he's a good driver
last
too.
of the late breakers, as they say, but. That's his. I don't know what that means, but that's his quote unquote.
What do you mean? I brake late all the time.
I don't. Yeah, they always say that. He's like, oh, he's the last of the late breakers. I don't know. Is Lewis the last of the late breakers too?
Well, he's not going to be the last anymore if he's using an assisted brake bias.
No, exactly. He can't really keep that name with that kind of shit going on. But the last little thing before we get out of here with the 2-parter this week, Miami. We're going to Miami. A little Will Smith. Miami announced for 2021. And nice little stadium circuit there. It looks like it's going to be a little bit looking like Russia type stuff. Hopefully not, because the Helman Tilker guy we always talk about, me and Will, and some of his circuits weren't the most popular amongst fans. But I thought the layout of it looked pretty good. I looked at some of the braking zones and stuff, and I was like, it seems good. I'm curious to see what it looks like in a sim racing type of setting, so I can actually see what it looks like down on track.
I haven't seen it yet, so I'll have to take a good peek at it.
Yeah, I don't know if I can find it right now quick enough on air, but it's around the Miami Dolphins Stadium, and I didn't know, again, shout out one more time, 3 Legs, 4 Wheels, they talked about the owner of this circuit, I guess, is the same owner of the Miami Dolphins and the same owner of Circuit of the Americas. So it makes sense
All right, okay.
as to why he's doing it there. And I like this layout way more than the one they proposed, which you probably didn't see 2 years ago, to be on the streets of Miami. And they were literally going to be running on like Miami Beach on the streets. But there was like
That's
this...
fucked.
Yeah, it's crazy. And there was a big bridge that they were going to be going on. And the question was, well, what if one of these cars gets parked up on that bridge? And it's like a long, like straight, and then make a U-ey and then come back down the bridge.
Yeah, no,
So it's like, what happens if A, there's an accident there, God forbid, or 2, just a car, somebody's engine dies? It's like, you're going to roll them all the way back down the straight? Like, you can't just put them to a side road. You're on a bridge. So that's why that didn't work. But my only real gripe, I guess you could say, with this, man, is I don't like one country having more than one race. If they're gonna do this, then get rid of Circuit of the Americas.
Okay, I was gonna ask that.
They're
Are
not.
they keeping or they're removing it?
No, they're keeping it. So USA.
So we're gonna have 2 USA races.
Yes, sir.
I guess that's a chance for us to go to the States and watch an extra race. I mean,
Totally.
it's not that bad.
I'm
but
not pissed about it from a time, like when in the race is gonna be on. I'm not pissed about it from a F1 being more popular in North America. That's not making me mad either. It's just I like the global aspect. And I've always, since I first got into it, I was like, this is really cool. They go to one country every week. It's not like, no offense to IndyCar, but it's not like IndyCar where they're literally just staying within one country in Canada, traveling the one country. They're literally all over the world. So it's not that I don't really like Circuit of the Americas anyway. But that's not a popular opinion. So I don't.
As for the Formula Phil, you definitely don't like that.
Yeah, no, not my favorite track. But who knows? I may come around on it. But what I think they should do is just rotate. I think they should go every other year.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Different races, and then
bad
maybe
idea
do
at all.
more of that. Maybe do every other Imola and Monza. I don't know.
That would be amazing because then, you're getting variation between year and year.
Yeah.
It's just the only difference is you would have to look at 2 years prior data to try and keep up with.
This
you know
is
what
true,
I mean?
but then that's good. Throw another wrench in this circuit. No pun intended. Like throw another wrench in there and fuck it all up for the team so they don't know what to do.
Yeah,
that's just going to make the racing even closer and better because you're not wrong.
Yeah, you're right. So that means in 2021 will be the first year of the new cars, but
with a new circuit too.
With a new circuit.
And we will have already had 1 year of Vietnam by that point.
Exactly. So they can't even take the data from Vietnam and bring it.
There is no. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
because the cars are
going
to be so different. I mean? That's what you're saying.
So what are they going to have? It's going to be you're shooting in the dark at that point. It feels like 2021 year is just going to be a fresh start. I feel.
I can't wait.
Well, okay.
2021 is going to be good. The only thing, and I don't know, I don't even know if I fully believe this, but it's just something that eventually is going to start to affect drivers, fans, everybody, staff. Is it too many? What is that, 22 races I think we're going to be at now? Like, that seems like quite a bit.
I don't think it's enough, man. To
Yeah?
be honest.
For us,
I love the fact that, every other weekend or sometimes a back-to-back, like, that's the shit,
and
bro.
I'm with you, man. I don't want to get it to the point where these drivers don't even want to be there.
No, I get it.
I don't, and not that they would ever truly feel that. Obviously, they're going to drive a Formula One car every chance that they get. But I don't want them to be so tired that it's like a burden that they got to go. Like, honestly,
yeah.
this is the Pro Wrestling LookBack, similar to wrestling, in the sense that Monday Night Raw and SmackDown wrestlers do not get a break. You do the biggest show of the year, WrestleMania, and what do you do 24 hours later? You go to Monday Night Raw and you perform on Monday Night Raw, and then what do you do a week after? It doesn't stop. It's just a continuous. And realistically, like, we're getting Abu Dhabi on December 1st. We're only having January, February.
Yep.
With no F1. So, again, I'm a massive F1 fan. I'm talking about Formula One on a freaking podcast. Obviously, I'm not complaining about more races. It's just like, at some point, does this get to be drivers don't want to race in F1 because it's too grueling? Maybe not
Possibly.
The young guys, but you're going to have guys like Vettel and maybe Lewis or whoever, Fernando, if he was still there, leaving earlier than they would have if there's more races.
Especially with weather conditions.
Yeah, we gotta
how they can vary. Singapore, that's a hard race.
Hell yeah.
Because of how hot and humid it is. And then that was a back-to-back race, was it not? It was Singapore and then Russia.
Yeah. And then we got a week off before Suzuka. Now we got another week off before Mexico. But
so like those two races right there, Singapore and Russia, that's a hard on your body.
Last season they did a 3-weeker.
See, that's crazy.
And they said we will never do this again because it was too hard on the mechanics. And you can speak to that.
Oh, fuck. I can vouch for them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They said we're never doing this again because
can
they
only
literally
imagine.
did 3 F1 weekends in a row. It was all in Europe, but still.
Okay. Given the fact that it was in Europe, it's super easy and time zones are so close together, no crazy jet lag, but still, you're still traveling, still packing, unpacking, setting up, racing, and then disassembling and just going over.
That's if everything
again.
goes perfect.
Perfect.
If
exactly.
no car gets a broken wing or
boom, broken wing, now you're freaking getting the scrap parts and everything. It's you got some serious stress on your shoulders, especially if you're going back to back to back.
Yeah.
You know?
But I don't know. It was.
I do agree with you, though. Sorry. I do agree with you saying that if there was more, it could be too much. Not only for the drivers, but for the other people there.
Yeah.
Because you think about it, it's not just a driver going to this place and racing.
It's the chefs.
It's a whole department. It's a whole store. It's a whole everything.
The TV pundit, everybody.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, they all make good money, but we're not complaining they get to travel the world.
Oh, that like the
but
the,
still, you don't get to see your
guys.
families, and that's what I mean. The camera guys, the Ted Kravitzes of the world, and the
well, fucking Shift F1. They mentioned that because of the typhoon, they had their camera station set up in a tent.
And they moved it all to the...
Within like 4 hours or some shit, bro.
Everything to the inside one of the garages, and they had the safety cars parked
are you
at
kidding
the side.
Me?
Yeah,
like that's crazy. And to hear that they moved all of this, ripped it apart, and set it up in one day compared to when it could take 2 to 3 or something like that, that's fucking mental. That means everyone was hustling. Everyone was a busybody, and there was not one person standing around. That's what makes me fucking appreciate what these people do. It's crazy, though.
And that's why it's the... pinnacle of motorsport, my friend.
Pinnacle of racing.
That's it. That's the top. And I don't think there's a better way to end the F1 update this week than that right there, my friend, unless there's anything else from you.
No, I'm pretty good.
All right. Two-parter. It has been fun.
It was.
I hope you guys enjoyed listening to both aspects of the show here. We got a little pro wrestling with me and Donovan at the beginning on the phone, talking the draft and all that, and then me and Phil breaking down Suzuka and really getting into some good F1 talk tonight. I really enjoyed it.
That was nice.
It was fun. Flew by. Longer than we expected, but like I said, that's usually how the F1 update goes. If you don't already, check us out on Instagram and Twitter at PW LookBack on both of those. Like, share, subscribe, follow, DM. I didn't say it at the beginning of the show because it wasn't approved yet, but now you can go check us out on Google Play. Hey, Google, play Pro Wrestling LookBack. Hopefully I didn't just set off anybody's things inside their house, but
hopefully he did.
Yeah, hopefully I did actually. But yeah, if you didn't already, give us a follow on all that stuff. iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, YouTube, and now Google Play. Send us an email, prowrestlinglookback@gmail.com. Subscribe, hit the 5 stars, leave us a comment, all that good stuff. I say it every week. My Twitter is @salsa, SCELSA. I don't know if you want to give out your Instagram or anything, Phil. It's up to you.
Philly_FK7. You can figure it out. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, some good car stuff on there actually. And Donovan is @JustDon. Or @The Dawn Hour, geez, my bad. Just Dawn44 on Twitter. @PW LookBack is the main one. And don't forget to check out the sponsor, guys, @Pure Oxide Premium CBD Oils, @Pure Oxide CBD on Instagram and Twitter, pureoxide.com. They ship worldwide. No GMOs, no THC, multiple different versions of the product. Check out @Justin.Brothers on Instagram for more information. But like I said, the website delivers everywhere, and I've been taking this stuff for about 2 months. It works amazing. Thanks for coming on the show again, Phil. This has been the Roundtable episode 58. I'm Nick.
And I'm Phil. Thank you once again.
Stay classy.